It's a great afternoon. Listen, it is Wednesday, and it's Marcus Benjamin hanging out with you guys for about 20 minutes on this small business conversation. Let's talk small business. Many of you guys connected yesterday on various platforms, and it was fantastic. Glad to go back and read some of the comments and thoughts, etc., that many of you dropped in, and so we appreciate that. It's always great when people are providing commentary and thoughts regarding what we're sharing and the value that they're getting from those thoughts and how they're able to apply it. So we appreciate that tremendously. We mentioned yesterday, and we'll mention the same today, for you to drop your city, drop your state in the chat, drop your city, drop your state in the chat. Let us know where you are listening and watching from. We really appreciate that. And so we're going to do a quick debrief as you guys come on in and drop your city and drop your state in the chat. We'll do a quick debrief of yesterday. So yesterday, what we endeavored to explain is that business is a separate legal entity. That whenever you start a business, you're starting a separate legal entity, and that entity is separate from you, but it is an extension of you, which means that how you grow or not grow, how you learn or not learn, how you develop or not develop has a direct impact upon the quality of business and the kind of business you're able to build. So it's separate from you because it's its own legal entity through a federal EIN, but it is an extension of you because you're leading it, you're building it, you're managing it. And as a result, it can't go any further than how you think. It can't go any further than how you grow as a leader and how you grow as a business leader. And how you grow your business intelligence. So we shared that yesterday. As you guys come on in, drop your city and drop your state in the chat. We appreciate that. So number one, it's a separate legal entity. Number two, it grows at the rate that you grow, meaning that your ability to make decisions directly influences how the business grows. Make sense? So when we say grows at your pace, what we literally mean is your leadership is the lid, as John Maxwell says. It is the ceiling for the company that you're building. And there are a lot of people who suffer from what Michael Gerber said in his renowned book, The E-Myth. They suffer from the entrepreneurial seizure, where basically they're fed up with their job, they're fed up with their career, they're fed up with being told what to do, and they decide to strike out on their own and start this business. And what they really realize, in the words of Michael Gerber, that they're working for a lunatic. They are working for a lunatic, and they are the lunatic. So he masterfully communicated that. So there are a lot of people who say they're running businesses, but in reality, they just simply own a job. They don't run a business, they own a job. No matter if they have a separate legal entity, the business doesn't make money without them, the business doesn't grow without them, the business doesn't exist without them. And so what I want to jump into today is part two of that conversation. But we mentioned yesterday that you don't go into business for yourself. You go into business for clients. I want you to hear what I just said. You don't go into business for yourself. You go into business for clients. Your passion has to be solving problems for people. Your passion has to be meeting the needs of people. Your passion has to be delivering a product or a service that solves a problem for people. There's so many people that I meet and that I have conversations with who talk about business and how passionate they are and their purpose and their assignment or their calling and all of these things. And you guys know I don't minimize those things, but they have been esteemed too much. So I'm not trying to reduce them unnecessarily. I'm just simply saying they've been esteemed too much in that. What if your purpose and what you're passionate about, people aren't willing to pay you for? Or what if someone is delivering that product or service at a higher quality with a lower price point or whatever? So you have to understand that you are in business for clients, either corporate clients, B2B, consumers, B2C, C2C, however that works. But you are in business for clients. When people say, I'm in business for myself, we kind of understand what people are saying, but we have to change the language a little bit because you're in business for clients. As I mentioned earlier, as you guys come on in, drop your city and drop your state in the chat. We'll be here for another 16 minutes, right at 20 minutes today. So listen to me. you may be in business for yourself, but you are really in business for clients. You're really in business for other people. Because if your product or service, whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is you say is your entrepreneurial endeavor, if people aren't willing to pay you for it, then it's a hobby. If they're not willing to pay you for it, or if they're not willing to pay you enough money to really build a company off of, then it's a good hobby. I mean, it's a good hobby, it's a good thought, it's a good idea, but we have to understand what business is. Business is the organized system of exchanging value. Let me say it again. Business is the organized system of exchanging value. So by solving a problem for someone, they're willing to compensate you for the value you provide in solving that problem. They're willing to compensate your company for the value your company provides in solving that problem. And so what happens is people just want to be their own boss. They want to do their own thing. Or maybe they even like the sexiness. They like the sexiness of being an entrepreneur. They like the verbiage. They like the thought of I started my own business, et cetera, et cetera. And again, there's nothing wrong with that at the beginning. But remember, you're not in business for yourself. You are in business for people. The greatest companies in the world, outside of the capital, outside of the market share, outside of all the other factors, the quality of staff, senior leadership, stock price, etc. The greatest companies are in business for people. They're in business for their customers. They're in business for the people who buy their products or services. So I want you to understand that when you're in business, you're in business for them, which means what you do, how you build, how you deliver, how you execute, how you provide that product or service. Listen, it is for them. They are the person of interest. It's not what makes you most comfortable. It's not what makes you most satisfied. It's not what gives you the most fulfillment. No, you're not in business for your own fulfillment. You're in business to solve a problem for people. Did you get it? You are in business to solve a problem for people. Therefore, listen to me very carefully. If your business is going to grow and scale, you have to be more focused on who your client is, and you've got to be more focused on what value or what problem you're actually solving. People, attorneys, accountants, CPAs, bookkeepers, consultants, cosmetologists, barbers, logistic and supply chain, manufacturing, retail, etc. All of those are legitimate, quote unquote, entrepreneurial endeavors. But as we think about the entrepreneurial endeavor, what client best needs or most needs what you have to offer, right? Now, when you answer the question, what client most needs what I have to offer, then there's another conversation. Do the people who need it the most, can they actually afford to pay you for it? You see, if the people who need it the most can't afford to pay you for it, then that means you probably need to go the nonprofit route, or what's commonly called social entrepreneurship, and go the nonprofit route, get grants and establish, federal connections, statewide connections, et cetera, so that they give you money to provide that service to the people who can't afford to pay you for it. Does that make sense? But there are a lot of people out here who call themselves in business, not some of the ones that I just mentioned, but they say they're in business, but the people that they're in business to serve can't afford to pay them for the product or the service, which means they need to go the social entrepreneurship route, go the nonprofit route, build a viable nonprofit, get a solid board in place, and get a great grant writer, and build the business, that business through a nonprofit model, and have grants come in so that you can deliver the service to people, and at a nominal cost, if anything, so that in turn those people can get what it is that you have to offer of value to them. So that being one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is, if you identify what your product or your service is, and then you identify the problem that it solves, now you identify the people that have that problem, who have the money to pay you. These are the ones who have the money to pay you. So if they have the money to pay you, now you start looking at differentiation. How do I have a unique value proposition, a unique delivery, a unique approach, a unique execution, whatever it is, so that they see more value in doing business with me than doing business with XYZ company, XYZ organization, et cetera, et cetera. And that is called branding. When you create a product of differentiation, when you create a service of differentiation, now you have to brand that product or service by its differentiation so that people see the value. Let's think about it from a retail standpoint, right? This suit jacket here is a Brooks Brothers suit jacket. It's a Brooks Brothers, and this one is actually custom. Now, think about it. Now, this Brooks Brothers blazer, well, it cost X amount of dollars, right? But they're blazers that aren't made out of this type of cotton. They're blazers that are made out of polyester. They're blazers that are made out of rayon. They're blazers that are made out of a mixture of polyester and rayon. They're blazers made out of cotton. They're blazers made out of silk. They're blazers made out of wool. Does that make sense? All of these different fabrics directly affect differentiation and who the client is. Does that make sense? You see, a client who's used to paying $49 for a polyester rayon blend sees a blazer for $6.99, they're not going to think about the fabric. They're not going to think about the workmanship going into that blazer. They're just going to think about, man, I'm not paying all of that money for a blazer. And again, they don't have to. But see, the company that makes that particular blazer, they're not making it for the person who just wants polyester rayon and don't want to spend more than $49. Does that make sense? So they've differentiated themselves through their product, through the type of product that they have, meaning how they made it, what it's made out of. They've differentiated themselves. And then they've priced it appropriately for the kind of customer that they want to attract. Right? So now that they've priced it appropriately for the customer they want to attract, now they've got to become obsessive about branding the value of who they are and wearing that particular blazer, such as Brooks Brothers or, Canali or, Hickey Freeman or, and there's a host of others. But I'm using that example to make a point. And thank you guys so very much for jumping on today. Please, as you guys come on in, drop your city and drop your state in the chat. As you come on in, I got roughly 7.5 minutes left in this conversation. And if this is helping you, just put hashtag yes. Just if this is helping you, and if you're getting some insight from this, put hashtag yes in the chat. So again, let's go back. You've got a valid business. We talked about that yesterday. You've got a valid business. You've got a service or product that actually solves a problem for people, right? Now that you have that, you have a separate legal entity that has its own EIN number, and now that business is going to grow based upon the quality of your decision making. So as your quality of decision making improves, your business is going to grow consistently with the quality of decision making. So if you're not learning and growing and being mentored and being in environments where people are building great businesses, etc., then your business intelligence is going to be low. Therefore, what you can build in business is going to be low as well. So you have to be in the right environment, which is part of the reason why we're hosting the Advantage 24. You see the registration link there on your screen in partnership with these organizations. So listen. You've got a valid business. You've validated that. You've got a product or a service. Now, who are you selling it to? What market of people need that product or service? You have to become obsessive about that. You've got to become hyper focused on that. I saw a meme. Man, this is probably 2 or 3 years ago now, and this is going to hit you. Listen to what it says. You don't see Lamborghini commercials. You don't see Maybach commercials. You don't see Bentley commercials. And the reason why you don't see them in commercials is because the people who can afford to buy them aren't sitting around watching television. That's a powerful statement about marketing and branding. It's a powerful statement. And it's not designed to insult anybody who's watching television. What it's simply saying is, to the extent that it is true, which, for most cases we can measure and see it's true, because again, I don't know about you, but I've never seen, a Bentley commercial. I've never seen, a Lamborghini commercial. I've never seen one. I've never seen a Maybach commercial. Hey, come down and get a Maybach. Never seen that. So, but anyway, my point is, they know where their consumer is spending their time. Now, what you will see is like, in South Park, right here in Charlotte, 20 minutes up the road, you'll see in the middle of South Park Mall, you will see an Aston Martin, or you'll see, a Lamborghini, or you'll see, another high-end luxury car as people are walking through the mall, because they know in that particular mall, they have a higher probability of their ideal customer seeing and engaging with their brand. So let's go to social media. There's some of you and people who want to, blow up on social media. We want to be an influencer. You want to have 10,000 followers. You want to have 50,000 followers, 100,000 followers. Let me tell you something. The wealthiest people that I know in business, and several of them are clients of mine, have less than 500 followers. I want you to hear what I just said. I'm talking about people who run 25, 50, $100 million companies, and they've got less than 500 followers on IG, less than 100 followers on TikTok. But if you go over to their LinkedIn page, they got 2,500 connections, 2,500 first line connections with the right people. So what am I trying to say to you? That you can certainly get bought up and caught up into the hype of trying to be an influencer and have all these followers, and there's nothing wrong with that. Except that if your clients aren't there, then it doesn't matter how many followers you have. Listen to me. So a person has 100,000 followers on Facebook, but your ideal customer spends their time on TikTok. Then it doesn't matter that you have 100,000 followers on Facebook. You've got 300,000 or 30,000 followers on Instagram, but your ideal customer is on LinkedIn. Go back to the meme. Does that make sense? You have to know where your customers frequent, where they engage, where they connect. And you can't do that being random. You have to be obsessive about your customers. If this is helping you, just put a hashtag yes in the chat. If this is helping you, put a hashtag yes in the chat. I've got roughly 3 minutes left in my time today. So I really want you to grab what I'm saying, that you have to know where your customers are. For example, we're promoting the Advantage 24 event that's coming up May 31st, and we're hoping small business owners who are streaming in this are going to connect, right? That you're going to see the branding, see the information, and respond, right? Now, this is my point. This broadcast here is going on each channel. It's going on LinkedIn. It's going on Facebook. It's going on Instagram, right? No, I'm sorry, LinkedIn, Facebook, and it's one more. Yeah, YouTube is going on, right? Now, we've differentiated it because we're having a conversation surrounding business foundation and business growth and scale. So tomorrow we're going to go a step further, and we're going to take this deeper into building the business. But my point that I'm trying to make is the reason why this particular message is spread abroad on various platforms is because we're trying to target entrepreneurs and small business owners at different levels in their journey, right? So with that being said, you have to know where your ideal customers are. So after this broadcast is over, our marketing team and so forth, they've got ads in the Charlotte with the Charlotte Regional Alliance, promotions with the Charlotte News, promotions with several other organizations, et cetera, that are broadcasting and putting out the message, some chambers and so on and so forth, right? But I want you to understand something. In the midst of all of that, what is determining who the client is? Ultimately, it's the price point. You see, the price point of the event is going to filter out some people and filter in others. Does that make sense? Because we're endeavoring to reach people who are serious about entrepreneurship growth, serious about building game-changing small businesses, and serious about changing their lives and the lives of others forever. So in my last 50 seconds, excuse me, not 50 minutes, 50 seconds, I want you to grab what I'm saying, and I want you to think about it for a second, because as we go and prepare for tomorrow's conversation, I want you to think about it like this. If your product is just like everybody else's product, then you're going to get lost in the midst of all of the messaging that is out there. So you have to differentiate your product in such a way, and you differentiate it through branding. When you go to the grocery store, you see boxes of cereal, right? You see boxes of cereal. But what separates the boxes of cereal? The name, the color scheme, the size of box, all of those things are branding to draw your attention in the midst of a sea of what? Of available options. It's not just let's just choose a color. No, how do we differentiate ourselves? The name, the color scheme, the characters on the box, all of those things are designed to what? Pull your attention, right? And we can even see that in Scripture. And my time is over, so I've got to finish. In Scripture, when God wanted to talk to Moses, what did he do? He set a bush on fire. Moses was going about his business, doing his thing, but God, proverbially speaking, saw his client, which was Moses, and I need what? This guy to go do something. And so God could have just said, Moses. But no, what did God do? He set a bush on fire. And the scriptures say when Moses turned aside to look, then God started talking to him. Does that make sense? So God set a bush on fire as a form of marketing, got Moses' attention because the bush didn't burn. That's branding because there's a consistency there. And then God started talking to him or what? Giving him the message. So as I conclude today, I just want you to just grab a hold of that thought and that perspective, that as we close our time, you've got a valid business, you've got a valid idea, you've got your proper legal foundation, et cetera, but you have to differentiate yourself, differentiate your products or services. And that's what branding is designed for. It's designed for differentiation. It's not designed for you to get a photo shoot, or it's not designed for you to just have an amazing website and have some great colors. No, it's designed to facilitate differentiation, right? And I'm going to be going into this in deep detail at Advantage 24. And as you differentiate, you have to be obsessive about your customer, where they are, what they like, what they don't like, what their interests are, what they're not interested in, where they hang out, where they frequent, what they buy. Because in today's world of business, these principles are going to give you the greatest probability of winning in business. All right, guys, listen, it's Marcus Benjamin hanging out right here at the Streaming Suites in Rock Hill, South Carolina, one of the companies that we own, full-scale production. I'm actually using my MacBook here, but we've got a full-scale production here that we will probably do maybe tomorrow, Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, we've got our production team in, and so we'll probably go live from the production angle. But at any rate, look at the link, check out register.advantagetomorrow.com. Even for those of you who are watching this stream and you're not in the greater Charlotte area or South Carolina, we got people who've registered from Raleigh, Charleston, et cetera. So 3 hours one way, 3 hours another way. So if you're within driving distance to Charlotte, you want to be here. But guess what? Everybody who's streaming and watching this, you know people who live in the Charlotte area. You know people in North Carolina and South Carolina who are in business. Send this to them and say, hey, listen, this is something you probably want to check out. It's Marcus Benjamin hosting the event. Tremendous panel of speakers, and Damon John being our featured speaker, and he'll be in person in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Got it? So listen, you guys continue to have a great, fantastic Wednesday. Hope this was a great conversation for you. Drop any questions or thoughts in the chat, and guess what? We're going to see you tomorrow to continue this conversation.